And we're live. I am the real underscore G Warner, live with a bad hair day. Not really sure what to do. It's just doing what it wants, and but you don't care about that. You're here for hopefully some winners. And I'm going to go through the major continental championships for this midweek, Champions League and Europa League, as Conference League seems to never have lines up when I want to do these. So we're just going to go, as always, starting Champions League where the money is the highest. And it's the time of year where I'm starting to put number of points next to each of the clubs that are playing. So you know that there's something on the line, whether it's advancing to the knockout stages or moving down to Europa League, and who's giving up / can take the liberty of resting players they already clinched. I don't think a lot of second places are clinched, but anyway, we'll go right into it. And first one is Dinamo Kiev hosting Bayern Munchen. Bayern are one of those teams that have already qualified, winning all 4 of their matches so far. I'm looking at the lines for the first time live on camera. Not sure that's a great idea, but we're doing it. So Bayern giving a goal in 3 quarters right now. I was expecting 2, and maybe gets there, but it makes sense to me that a line might be a little bit lower for Bayern, knowing that a bunch of money will come in on the day of, and also not really being sure who's going to play, especially after a tough loss on Friday to open up Bundesliga play. Very surprising. Haven't rewatched that match yet, but that was a big surprise. Dinamo Kiev sitting at the bottom of the group with only 1 point is not a great sign for their ability to get out of the group. Certainly if they win back-to-back with a shock upset over Bayern and then whoever they have next, possible, but I'm not stepping away with a Bayern train, especially an angry train at that. Next on the list is Villarreal and Manchester United. Wow, incredible that United is in the 2-game window, early window. But based on how they played, it's probably deserved. Currently looking at a pick-em with all the juice on Manchester United, so likely climbing to a quarter goal favorite on the road. Villarreal have not looked great this season. Draw kings within La Liga, which is not going to get you anywhere. Certainly not going to get you back into a European place. So they're sitting mid-table, not happy. There's a lot of speculation about Unai Emery leaving, but he's there. He's going to play defensive football. Manchester United has whoever is going to be nobody on the touchline. I mean, it'll be the same as having Ole there because his staff is probably making the lineup here. I got to say, I'm looking to back Villarreal, and it's not just because Manchester United looked bad this weekend. They've looked bad for years and don't really seem to have a plan besides getting as many wingers as they can. They want to have a ton of space to operate. And Villarreal and Unai Emery in the Europa League Championship last season or final did a great job of limiting that space. I imagine similar game plan, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it clearly worked, frustrated Manchester United. And honestly, if I'm remembering this match correctly, they should have won at Old Trafford. So getting any sort of fraction of a goal, considering all the turmoil they're going through, certainly will be motivated and expect a good effort. But I'm looking to back Villarreal, and I'm hoping to get that quarter sooner rather than later so I can feel comfortable that maybe it might even trend towards a half. But I got to say, whoever's back in Manchester United right now is a fan or is playing a bounce back angle that I certainly haven't seen much of. Okay, now in the afternoon window, we have Barcelona hosting Benfica, currently giving a full goal, all the juice on the Benfica side. This is a number I might want to lock in tonight. Barcelona were outplayed, certainly for the last 15 minutes, half hour, against Espanyol in the Catalan derby this past weekend. I don't know how they didn't lose the match. Somehow they won 1-0 of a gift penalty. Serrano Grande is like, honestly, I don't think he's fixed. I don't think he's taking bets or getting paid off to do things. But he and the rest of the La Liga officials, they're according to the fans in Spain, when I went a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, they're cool with a lot of physical play outside of the boxes. But as soon as you're in there, if you breathe on someone, it's a penalty, and it's ridiculous. But Espanyol got screwed. I really hope they don't go down because of it, because they deserve 3 points instead of 0 from that match, in my personal, and yes, I did bet them, opinion. Anyway, towards this match, Benfica dominated Barcelona the first time they played. I was really close to betting them. I did not do it. And of course, they walked all over them. I don't see how much changes here. Barcelona were a favorite on the road, but a full goal favorite or a full goal of insurance makes such little sense. I can't even tell you. Tickets are extremely expensive to watch the youth team play Barcelona mixed with a bunch of skeletons, essentially, or scarecrows. Uh, PK, Busquets, like they've held on way too long. And it's probably why part of their team is struggling like they are. Benfica and Barca currently both on seven. Excuse me, they're both Barca's ahead, but on 6 points. Benfica at 4. This matters for both of them. Barcelona, certainly the prestige is a big deal, but they've got so many other problems that Xavi is worried about really building for the second half of the season with his young players, and I think really building for next year. Benfica are very interesting to me at +1, and I feel like that might fall and go away sometime soon, as I was nowhere near a full goal of insurance. Next is Young Boys hosting Atalanta. Currently, Atalanta giving a quarter of a goal on the road. And that seems like fairly on what that was my guess. Atalanta slightly ahead of Young Boys in points 5-3, but ultimately both look to be still alive in their group. And Atalanta haven't looked as strong as they did last season. Hasn't happened really at all for them this year. Went behind on the weekend, which isn't a great feeling entering this match, where Young Boys I think are going to play some pretty steady offense. David Wagner, the manager formerly of Schalke and other places, he's got some pedigree for sure, but ultimately I think the quality of his club is the biggest problem. Atalanta, though, when they have open space, can score, and I think Young Boys will give that space because they want to play on the front foot and play offensive, and they probably need to, trailing United and Villarreal by 4 points at the top of the group. I think Europa League berth is a success for Young Boys, but I don't know that a draw in 1 point, which would still keep them 2 behind Atalanta with 1 match to go, and at best, 4 behind of the leaders, I guess, because they would both be at 8. So I think they got to go for a win here, and that's something that we need to think about in any plays that we're making with an underdog, because if they have to play in a non-defensive fashion because they need points, then that's not a great sign, in my opinion. Okay, now as I try to navigate all these windows, see where we go next. Okay, next we have Lille hosting Salzburg. Currently, Lille a pick'em with all the juice on their side. I made it a quarter. I imagine it gets there. Lille have been, I think, fairly resilient in this competition, have not had much success in Ligue 1, but they're sitting second right now in the Champions League knockout round spot if everything ended today. And they're actually trailing Salzburg, which I don't think many people had coming into this. But Salzburg have been great. They've been on the front foot. Their offense has been legit. They've been getting a ton of penalties, but credit them for being in position to get those. And I got to say, from what I've seen from Lille this season, they're not the same club. Incredible that they blew a really early lead. And I think it was a 2-0 lead, I want to say, or at least 2-1 against 10 men against Monaco on Friday. A little bit extra rest, which is very helpful. But I don't really believe in them as a favorite. We'll be looking to back Salzburg. I am a little bit worried about the Salzburg defense, but and back them against Wolfsburg the last match, if I remember correctly, which was a loser. But ultimately, that was because Lucas Mecha is an incredible goal scorer for Wolfsburg now, and that's a big deal. Didn't expect that, didn't see that coming, and I don't even know that Salzburg's defense were really at fault for incredible second goal after falling behind early, which you could probably blame on them. I think Salzburg as an underdog are very interesting to me at top of the group. I think a draw keeps them at 2 points ahead of Lille, which is a big deal. But you got to worry about the other matches and getting leapfrogged and all that sort of stuff. So I think that you could certainly see Salzburg being a little bit more conservative, but I'm not sure that's their style and really how they're going to play anyway. Next, we go to Sevilla hosting Wolfsburg, the other match in this group. Wolfsburg, surprisingly, in third, with Sevilla last, sitting bottom, 3 points. I think their management, I'm not sure it was Lopetegui himself, but one of the presidents or whoever board members said that this was a big week for them. And I probably should have followed through on a lean I had against them in La Liga play this weekend. They ended up fighting in a huge rainstorm with puddles everywhere, got a draw at the end off a nice goal from Rakitic, but ultimately have not really done well in this competition. It's pretty disappointing to see 3 draws and a loss through 4 match days. And so they're going to be having to go all out. Current number is Sevilla giving 3/4 of a goal. And they're going to be on the front foot with a ton of possession pushing forward. And I got to say, for that type of number, I'm interested in Wolfsburg. I think Florian Kohfeldt came in after, I guess, having a really emotional time when he left Werder Bremen and saw them relegated like the next week. He's installed a more defensive mindset, which I think will be helpful in this match and is pretty much required because Sevilla are going to have a ton of the ball. But Wolfsburg are known and really have built their team and got to the Champions League based on their defense. I imagine they're going to be in a pretty good position, at least to deny headers because they're so tall in their back line. I think they'll struggle with the pace, but I don't know that Sevilla really are going to have a ton of counter-attacking opportunities. Easy for me to say, because ultimately that's not really Sevilla's game. Sevilla wants to play the tiki-taka style that Barcelona played and the Spanish national team played with such success for a while. They're very good at it. But I think trying to rely on headers or crossing in the box for headers is not really a strategy to score against Wolfsburg. And you have to win by a full goal to at least win half of a bet. I almost feel like it's worth taking Wolfsburg, who are going to play defensively, going to be pretty serious at trying to take advantage of set pieces with their height on the other end as well. So big advantage for set pieces. And if you can keep Sevilla passing it all around and really, how are they going to get inside and really cut through Wolfsburg? I think they're certainly going to be a lot peskier and a lot closer to the ground. They're a shorter team and they'll be more crafty in that way. But getting 3/4 of a goal seems a little bit higher than I made it. And based on the situation, I think it might even give a little bit too much to Wolfsburg. And Sevilla might be just in too much trouble at this point. It's a tough group without really a dominant juggernaut. But and I think that might add to the pressure if Sevilla don't get through because that'll be a major embarrassment for the club. But like, who cares? Everyone gets embarrassed. Whatever. Look at my hair. Next, we have Chelsea and Juventus. And currently, it looks like Juve have advanced. They can't be caught by Zenit, but ultimately Chelsea could beat them. And it is a big deal to get the top seed in these groups so you can get a runner-up in the knockout stages. So this match matters. And looking at the number, Juve currently getting 3/4 of a goal on the road, and it looks like it's all the juice on Chelsea. That might even climb to 1. I wonder what that says about Lukaku. If there's ever a match to save him for, to bring him back for, it's this one. They were pretty dominant on the weekend. Juve, 2 Bonucci penalties, incredible penalty brace. But first one was awesome, and the second one not awesome, but worked out, did the trick, I guess. And I think what Juve have been under Allegri, they're not an offensive team that are going to blow teams out, but that's not the position you want them in this match really at all. They're going to need to play defensively, going to need to limit Chelsea. And I mean, even if Lukaku's back, first match returning, I'm not really sure what to expect from him. Timo Werner misses too many chances. Certainly the speed will be an issue for the Juve aged back line, not even aged with a D. Man, I think getting +1 though is like way higher than I would have expected, and I really haven't liked how Juve have played. I'll be frank. Chiesa is a must-have in terms of their offense to keep Chelsea honest. But 1-0 is a very likely result here for Chelsea, and if that +1 pops on Juve, I think that's something that's worth investing in. Next on the list, Malmo hosting Zenit St. Petersburg. Currently, Malmo, I think, on 0 points, have been just not. This competition was too much for them. They did great in qualifying to get here, but they're going to be rested for the rest of the season, it seems. Zenit is a half a goal favorite on the road, which is saying something for Zenit, bigger than I made it. But Malmo haven't really looked like they're up for this competition. They have nothing to play for at this point. Except maybe third place, I guess, if they win this match. So that's a lie. So they do have something to play for. If they win this match, they have to win by a lot because goal differential in their first meeting was pretty lopsided, if I remember correctly. But then there's still another match where they can outperform the result. So never mind. Malmo have something to play here. Half of a goal means a draw. They win. The problem that we talked about earlier, or I talked about earlier because I'm only on this podcast, whatever you call it, they're going to have to push for a win, and that's going to put a defense under real threat against Zenit, who aren't a team that really can punish you normally. But I think any team on a counterattack is the most dangerous, lethal, and that worries me if you're going to back Malmo here. So I feel like you have to believe that they're going to win this match, get ahead early, and hang on for dear life or something like that, because draw's not good enough, and they're going to be sending their keeper up in the 93rd minute of stop, third minute of extra time. And I've been in that situation before, and it is not fun. Moving to Wednesday, we have Besiktas hosting Ajax. Ajax also, I believe, have already moved on. Incredible start to the competition for them. Pretty impressive. Yeah, won all their matches. They have advanced, but I guess haven't clinched the top spot. Yes, they still have something to play for. Besiktas on the other side are last and have to win out to tie for third, likely, and that's going to be tough. So I don't necessarily see that being realistic, but maybe they'll try. I'm not sure. Currently, 1.25 Ajax is laying on the road, which is a big number. But I'm not really looking to step in front of that train unless there's some serious rotation, and even then, I think I'm happy to not. Inter then hosting Shakhtar Donetsk, currently giving a goal and a half. It seems a little expensive. Right around where I had it. Shakhtar with a pretty disappointing performance after knocking out Monaco in the battle to get into this match, or to get into this competition in Champions League. It's really, I think, set Monaco back, and Shakhtar on sitting on 1 point in last place. Are a very, very outside chance to move on to the Europa League. From where I'm sitting, I got to say, not sure I want to back Shakhtar, even getting a big number from Inter, who haven't looked very good in this competition or anything. And I think have been getting lucky to get the results that they have. Next is Bruges hosting Leipzig, currently getting half of a goal at home, with all the juice on their side. Leipzig are in big trouble in this competition. I think everyone, for the most part, thinks they're out. They could certainly still fight for that third place game, but they need a victory here, and had lost to Bruges earlier. So that's a big, big deal. They're going to be on the front foot trying to score goals. So it's a little surprising to me to see Bruges as the side with all the juice right now, at a half of a goal. I would think that will switch by the time the match kicks off. Ultimately, Leipzig looked like a shell of themselves this weekend. Offense has not been good. Jesse Marsch is under fire, maybe. Tough filling in for Nagelsmann's shoes or whatever, but they have not been good in this competition or really in the Bundesliga. And it seems like they're getting a lot of respect just based on their situation, which is the kind of underdog I want. Pretty much, if Bruges draw this match, they're going to have I think that clinches that for them, the Europa League, and that's probably enough. So this might be a sit back and defend with all that you got for 90 minutes and plus stoppage time or whatever. And now that I think about it, I might be turning face a little bit, and maybe that line does make sense, and maybe I like it. Next is Man City hosting PSG in a big, big matchup. Also in Group A, Man City currently on 9 points, PSG on 8, but I think won their previous meeting, so that's big for head-to-head in a tiebreaker. Draw pretty much, I think, wins the group for City. So I'm a little bit surprised to see them such a big favorite. 3/4 of a goal with all the juice on their side. Likely, I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if a team with Neymar and Messi and Mbappe, who's probably the best of all of them this season, could ever be getting +1 on the road from Man City. They definitely have defensive issues. Man City are going to have a ton of possession, and I think are built to control the ball. But ultimately, PSG, I think, are at their best when they're counterattacking, similar style to Manchester United. It's really hard for me not to want to take 3/4 of a goal, and I'm sure that everyone in the world that bets soccer wants this one as well. But it's bigger than I made it, and if this climbs to 1, I mean, that's going to be really hard for me to resist. Even at 3/4 of a goal, where you only lose half of a unit or half of your stake on a single goal loss. I mean, I'm pretty interested. Man City have not done enough offensively for me to be that afraid of them. PSG have plenty of defensive issues and motivation problems, et cetera, et cetera. But this is their event, their tournament, their competition that they're really trying to play for. And even if Neymar is out, like, there's still plenty of talent on that side, and it's gonna be hard for me to lay off. Atletico then hosting AC Milan, only giving 3/4 of a goal, with all the juice on the Atleti side. Maybe this climbs to 1 as well. Milan, I think, have played pretty well. Had a tough one this weekend against Fiorentina, but ultimately fought all the way to the end. And Ibrahimovic, Giroud, forward rotation window like on the pitch at the same time is like perfect for FIFA. So I imagine that's like what everybody wants. If I had the new version, I'd certainly be playing that as much as I could. But I got to say, AC Milan, they've been, I think, better offensively than I expected this season, playing a little more open, which does worry me against a team like Atleti, who, to be frank, their offense has been really bad. I mean, 88 or 86-minute winner this weekend against Osasuna looked like a 0-0 forever. The goalie, I think, made a big mistake, which keeps happening to Osasuna. And Atleti really haven't been that impressive to me. Apparently, Griezmann is going to play in this match, and it looked like Suarez was either rested this weekend or came on really late because he had been playing in South America and the CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers. Whatever the reason, that's not a great sign. And their offense has been a disaster / hasn't shown up for a while. And I think the defense hasn't been very good either. And you have Simeone like going to a back four after using a back three all season. That's not a good sign really either. I don't think that Milan are seeing themselves as like out of this competition. So, I mean, I'm intrigued, especially if this hits one. That's going to be impossible for me to keep off my card. But even with 3/4 of a goal, it's higher than I made it. Atleti probably need a win here to try to pass Porto as they're sitting third. And if they won the La Liga and then ultimately ended up in the Europa League the next year, that probably would be a tough pill to swallow. I don't think Milan are out of it. They're going to need a win, so they're going to have to push forward, and that's going to leave them a little bit, I think, vulnerable to Atleti counterattacks. But like, I don't even know if I believe in Atleti being able to put those in the net because they haven't been able to do it for weeks now in La Liga. And really in this competition, sitting 1-1 and 2, that's not great either. Though I guess they did play really hot Liverpool twice. Next, speaking of Liverpool, half a goal favorite at home to Porto. Now that tells me that there's some rotation coming in. They can't be caught, so they have no reason to, I guess, play their studs. Though Klopp did that last season and Jota got hurt, so we'll see what happens. Maybe he learned his lesson, but I really think that affected their title run and was really stupid. Porto, where they sit second in the group, I think a draw is a great result for them here at Anfield for sure. It'll at least put them almost out of range for Milan. And I think keeps them in striking distance of Atleti, even if Atleti beat Milan. So I would imagine Porto are going to put forth a pretty good defensive effort. I'm curious to see. I mean, you got to think that Salah is going to be saved for the Premier League, so he must be resting. This number doesn't make a lot of sense that it is below 1 for if there's not heavy rotation. But I got to say, a team that is rotating is a manager saying that this match isn't as important to us. I think it needs to happen from Klopp's point of view, but I think that will even embolden Porto a lot more to be stronger in defense and might mean that they have better fatigue or energy levels and are not as fatigued because they don't have to deal with an onslaught from the beginning because they're dealing with weaker players that are rotated in. So I'm interested in Porto, and I might just bet every match apparently in this competition. Sporting Lisbon, speaking of, hosting Borussia Dortmund, who are a disaster. I mean, their win this weekend against a abominable Stuttgart performance, barely escaped with a victory, somehow are like challenging Bayern for the Bundesliga. But I need to actually look at some of those futures because Bayern, they're never going to catch them. No way, no how. I'll eat my sock if that occurs. I don't want to eat my sock, but I think I'm that sure about it. Dortmund currently tied with Sporting at 6 points. Dortmund ahead of them, I think, based off head to head, but with a nasty goal differential. If that becomes a tiebreaker, yikes. Offense without maybe Haaland plays, but I would think that they'd probably be a favorite if he did. And my guess on this number was Dortmund -0.25. So maybe it gets there. Based on what I'm looking at now, though, most of the juice is on Dortmund, but this looks like a pick 'em, and I expect it will close there. Sporting with a tough start to the league, getting thrashed by Ajax, but apparently everyone does that, so it's not that big of a demerit. And I got to say that they're a side I want to back here because I want to be against Dortmund as much as I can, especially on the road with a really incredibly poor defense. And if you don't have Haaland, their offense is completely changed, impaired, whatever word you want to use. All right. And last but not least, we have Sheriff hosting Real Madrid. Sorry, I got to plug my computer in. Don't want to have this shut off mid-session. I know everyone would be really hurt by that. All right, so Sheriff getting a goal in 3 quarters. Nice story, great start, 6 points on the board. Still have a chance, and Europa League would be big for them. Let's see, they are how many points ahead of? They're 5 points ahead of Shakhtar, so draw here is probably enough for them to clinch Europa League, and that's what I imagine they're going for. Real Madrid are not impressive. They're not an offense that I'm scared of being against, but I haven't really done it a lot this season, and I don't think I'll be doing that here. So that's 25 minutes, way longer than I expected on Champions League. So we're going to go a little bit, hopefully more rapid on the Europa League, and that'll be all I do because there's no Conference League. But Spartak Moscow currently getting a full goal from Napoli at home. I'm not interested in fading Napoli. I think they've looked really good to me, and that's not someone I want to mess with. It's also on Wednesday, which is a change in schedule, so I'm glad I saw that now. Next on the list is Galatasaray hosting Marseille. Marseille with a crazy postponement. Should have extra legs, but who knows about Payet's availability after some criminal hit him with a water bottle in the head. It's French football is a joke at this point with how they have crowds. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Liga, they need the money, so they're never going to ban fans for the rest of the year. But I feel like they should do that because this is happening way too often, and too many of my bets are getting canceled. Not that that's really about me or anything, but there we go. Marseille with slightly more juice on the road at Pick'em. Galatasaray, I think, are an inferior club, but doesn't look like they're going to be a favorite. So that makes it less interesting for me to even go through this even more. Lokomotiv Moscow hosting Lazio, getting half of a goal is a pretty big change from where that line was the first time they played, because I backed Lokomotiv Moscow and they got blasted. Could have hung around, maybe could have covered, but probably didn't deserve it. Definitely didn't deserve it. And Lazio didn't look great this weekend, missing Ciro Immobile, who just seems to be a penalty kick scorer. But without him, they didn't really have an offense against Juve. Maybe that was Juve's plan and they executed it, but that's a concern for me and maybe explains this line being lower than I expected. Michelin, Pick'em to Sporting Braga. Braga are in a good position to win this group. I thought they might going into it. Wish I had bet it, but only so much money I can put on futures and watch most of it burn. Michelin are minnow in this group, as they are in any competition on the European stage, but they fought pretty well at 5 points on the board. They're in the battle. I just don't know that there's much for me to do here at a pick'em, but if they move to a quarter goal favorite as the juice is heading that way, I'll be looking at backing Braga for sure. Red Star, other match in this group, Crvena Zvezda, we'll see. 1.25 goal favorite to Ludogorets. Ludogorets are the worst in this group, and I think it's been showing. Big match. If Red Star can get a win here, I think that's huge for them to win the group. We'll see what happens. But next on the list, Leverkusen hosting Celtic. Celtic getting 1.25. Leverkusen's offense has kind of dried up. Their defensive issues are, I'm not sure, something that Celtic can exploit. I think anything that Leverkusen is giving above a goal right now is worth looking at the other side, but I really need to invest some time and energy that I haven't yet in how good Celtic is or are, because it wouldn't be the worst bet in the world going against Leverkusen with more than a goal in your pocket. Real Betis then hosting Ferencváros, giving a goal in 3 quarters. Big number for Betis to lay based on how they're playing. Ferencváros, though, are going to sit back and defend, and that's going to be an issue because you really want to try to test the Betis defense because it will break. But I'm not sure that Ferencváros are a team, especially when they're getting a goal and a quarter on the road to Young Boys in qualification. Is Young Boys within a half of a goal of Betis? I mean, Betis have a good home crowd. Not sure exactly what Young Boys Burn can really put out there, but I'm not sure that Ferencváros are good enough. But maybe if it hits 2, I'll try to look away because that'll be hard for me to resist. It looks like the juice is sending it there. Dinamo Zagreb hosting Genk. Pick'em with all the juice on the Zagreb side. Looks like that's climbing to a quarter. I think that makes sense. I think Dinamo Zagreb are better. It seemed a little bit respectful for Genk on the road to get this type of number. Though with Eastern Europe might not have a crowd, so that might be a factor. Rapid Vienna, they are hosting West Ham. Currently, West Ham on the road giving a goal, but all the juice in the Rapid Vienna side. Vienna was really struggling, or Rapid, it's probably a better way to call them. They were mid-table in Austria, not a great sign entering this competition. They've I think, fared fairly well in here, but still have a ways to go. Looking at where they are in the table, I don't even know if it's worth the amount of time to do this, nor me to find it. So they're bottom of the group, but are certainly in the contest right now. I'm not sure exactly what to expect from them, but they're only a point behind Genk, and a win would certainly do a lot for them, potentially getting a second place and advancing. So that matters. But I just West Ham, their offense is not good. They didn't look good on the weekend. They have great defense. I certainly am never going to think about backing them as a goal favorite on the road. I just don't know if Rapid Vienna are a team that I want to back here. Though I got to say the English teams have not been as dominant in these other competitions. Rangers then hosting Sparta Prague, giving half of a goal. Sparta Prague, I think, were a lot better last season. It seems like a lot of the Czech players have left that league and moved on to bigger places, and that's why their team was so good in the Euro. I think getting half of a goal is a nice start. I'm not sure that that's really enough for what I was looking for. It seems a little short, which is a little respectful of Sparta Prague. Rangers just lost Gerrard to their manager to Aston Villa. I'm not sure that really matters so much in the first game in this type of league and this type of level. But in terms of the group, I mean, I guess I'm more interested than I thought if I'm going to go through the group here. Rangers are third, tied with Sparta Prague, both on 4 goals. Lyon way ahead with winning every match. Brøndby behind them at the bottom, but I guess relatively close and have to play Lyon. I don't know. Sparta Prague, probably there are worse bets out there. So that's maybe a little more interesting than I thought. That's why I do these podcasts, to talk about them. Brøndby then getting half of a goal with all the juice at home, with Lyon already clinched, probably playing backups, but maybe they need a match together after they didn't play more than 4 minutes because their fans are really stupid and embarrassing. Not sure that Brøndby are a side that I can fade. Lyon, who have a great offense no matter who they play, and they're very deep. Monaco hosting Sociedad. Pick them with all the juice on Monaco's side. Interested in Sociedad if they become an underdog. Not sure about Mikel Oyarzabal and his status, but recently coming back from injury, even if he did on the weekend that I didn't see yet. It seems pretty unlikely that he would play a role and go back-to-back so quickly. In terms of where they sit in this competition, though, Sociedad are only a point ahead of PSV, so they need a result here. 2 points behind Monaco at the lead or group leader. And I got to say, Monaco, their inability to score goals is a big problem. I don't know how much they're going to be able to test Sociedad. They played pretty well and led for a while in this match, first time they played in San Sebastian. But I think the teams have gone different ways since then. Monaco are starting to play a little bit better, and they've gone completely in reverse since then. Eindhoven then hosting Sturm Graz should be a big win, and that's where Monaco and Real Sociedad are probably both on alert that they might be staring up at PSV. I guess Monaco at worst would be tied. But Sturm Graz getting a goal in 3 quarters and potentially climbing to 2. PSV's gotten a lot of love at home, good home crowd, and Sturm Graz are not really competitive, I don't think. But they've got a draw out of this whole thing, and that's a big deal. I don't know. It's one of those where I'm not backing Sturm Graz, but that makes me think that there's going to be a lot more to play for in that Monaco Sociedad match because they need points, both of them. Leicester then hosting Lechia Warsaw, giving 2 goals at home. Leicester giving 2 goals right now is comedy, but how good is a Polish side, or how can they compare? I'm going to look into this because it's +2, but I'm hoping that I will avoid it because I don't like betting teams that are going to get blown out. Eintracht Frankfurt giving a goal and a half to Antwerp. Really close match that Antwerp probably deserved to win, and then gave up a late penalty the first time they played in Belgium. Frankfurt have not been impressive to me, but ultimately they're a better side, bigger club with a lot more money. Antwerp played pretty offensively on the front foot in that first matchup. If they do that here, I think it's going to be really, really tough on the road to hang within a goal and a half, unless they get a goal, which seems to be a big question for them. And they're sitting, I think, bottom of the group, which is never good. Yeah, they're on 1 point. Frankfurt are on 10, and pretty close to clinching the group. Olympiakos, another one. Fenerbahce, currently a half a goal favorite. Olympiakos at home. I think this was a quarter goal underdog on the road, and they won in pretty dominant fashion. So it makes sense. The numbers there, and likely climbing to 3/4. Might be some interested folks on buying back on Fenerbahce because those teams were pretty similar last time. Have to check injuries and all that sort of stuff, but I'm not sure how much time I'm going to have to do all that before now and Thanksgiving here in the U.S. But ultimately, Fenerbahce is my lean as an underdog, as always, and maybe that will look a little bit better. So that's 36 minutes. Going to try to jump on to college basketball now. But you can check my Twitter, the real _ G Warner, as I'm posting plays there as well. Have had a good upturn in results and hoping to keep that coming, especially in a big week of a lot of bets, because all the neutral court tournaments are my favorites. Thanks for coming. Any questions, hit me, the real _ G Warner on Twitter, and maybe my hair will be better next time. Thanks for coming.